Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV podcast 546. Disc golf guy, that's me, Ray Miller. Back in studio.
Yeah, how do you feel? Normally you come back from these trips and you've caught some crud, but I think you kind of did that before you left.
Yeah.
So you feeling all right?
I learned a new term, unfortunately, this last year, a few weeks ago. It was deemed Asian stomach.
Is that like Montezuma's revenge?
Yeah, that was another phrase that got thrown around. But
okay, I had to literally just like 2 days ago. I had to explain that to my son, who who knew that you shouldn't drink water when you go to other countries. You should, bottled water or whatever. But he didn't understand Montezuma's revenge.
Yeah, and that's actually a reference I don't even know myself. But in context, putting it together with what I had, I feel as if it might have been ice cubes. My diet was actually, believe it or not, really good for the entire time that I was there. And when I got to Cambodia, there was one day where I had a perfectly normal meal, including some rice and chicken and pineapple. That evening, I had some more rice and some other chicken, actually, in a different style of dish. And something didn't sit well, and it put me into bed for, I'm saying, a good 28 hours. Didn't feel like doing much. It was not good. It cost me an entire day and then some over there in Cambodia. I ended up fighting it off just in the nick of time to barely push through the final round of the Khmer Cup. And thankfully, it was only like 98 degrees and 75% humidity.
Were you in sync, though?
Yes, I was. I was going bye or something. I don't know if that's, yeah. Anyway, it was brutal, but I ultimately fought through it and was happy to be able to get the final round of that coverage of that event. So my first time in Cambodia, still A+ experience overall. And yes, I need to go back. Because it was that awesome. And as they say, you need more than a few days there. A lot of people talk about going to Angkor Wat or Angkor Thom, these incredible places. That was potentially on my list for that particular day, and my stomach had other plans. So I have a tiny little cough as I'm on my way back. That's unrelated to my stomach, and that's just been kind of lingering for the last week. So hopefully I'm good to go. Seeing highlights, though, from the Disc Golf Pro Tours All-Star Weekend, seeing highlights from last year and listening to my voice.
Yeah, it was bad. To the point where you stepped out for a day last year, I believe. Yeah,
it is brutal to see any of those clips come up and just how miserable I sounded. Even though it felt okay, my voice said otherwise.
Yeah, they asked you to take a little day break there.
Yes.
Now, I'm getting some word from, I know tonight we're supposed to have on Steve Dodge and Paul McBeth.
Oh, I've heard of those guys.
I have heard of both of them, but Steve is wondering, and he might have to step out, and we might have to get him next week.
Okay, if that's the case, that's fine. Then we can fast track to Paul probably.
Yeah, we could probably
a little quicker if Paul's available. I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, reach out to Paul.
Is that kind of officially what we're going with?
I think so. I think that's probably going to be easiest for everybody. Okay. For everybody involved, Steve's got some things that he can't come on till later, and Paul doesn't want to probably come on that late. So everything's going to kind of work out. Steve's working on. I'm not going to spill any beans here.
No, don't tell too many things.
No, I'm just saying he's working on a sponsor. And so, and we want to have him come on to talk about some other things as far as the MVP Open, the future disc golf stuff that he's been pushing. So he's got some stuff to talk about. It's just a matter of giving him his proper allotted time.
All right. Well, in that case, if we're going to kind of shift things around a little bit, I'm going to let Paul know that he can go whenever he's ready. This is some on-air production.
Yeah, this is. I mean. Yes.
Excuse me.
Yep. So.
All right. Well, while I do this, why don't you talk about...
We're going to talk about some events that happened this past week at the PDGA. We already had one major event, and it wasn't a major. Haha. It's a tier, and it was the Discraft Presents Spike Heiser's Bark Buster Bonanza 10.
Okay.
It could be X, but I'm assuming it's going to go with 10. Do you like the X at the end, or should it say 10? I don't know.
I mean, it's the 10th.
I know, but the X just kind of, I don't know.
X going to give it to you?
X going to give it to you. R.I.P.
So
he's not going to give anything anymore.
No.
So, all right. Winning this event is Evan Smith, shooting 36 under par. His round ratings were 1048, 1039, 1038, I'm sorry, and 1071. Second place, tie between Austin Bates and Brandon Brown. Fourth place was Ryan Mon. And a tie for fifth place between Tony Mo Rice and Andrew Fish. So you're starting to see some names that we're going to have on tour, getting a little warm-up in before this upcoming event. There was no FPO, so we'll briefly talk about one of our favorites. I don't want to put him in our favorite because he's up there, though. MP40 Brian Schweberger wins this for his 432nd career win. Congratulations, Brian Schweberger. And FP40 Elaine King. Oh yeah, what's Elaine's win at? She's not quite at what
Schwebby is.
No, she's 321, so about 100 behind Schwebby, but still 321. But still probably maybe the second most wins in PDGA history.
Yeah, very impressive. Elaine King. I'm sorry, you said played FP40.
FP40, yeah.
And how many were in the division?
I think it was 4.
Okay.
3? There were 3 in the division.
Okay.
Becky Trojan and Aaron Snap.
All right. Well, very cool.
Yeah, Elaine King.
Doing work still out there. Love it.
Yeah.
Let me send this. Excuse me.
Yep. So that is that's the main event this week. While we get ready for the upcoming Discraft Supreme Flight Open presented by Florida Adventure Coast. It's a long name. It's a lot of sponsors.
I was just going to say, is that rival what we just saw by the Barkbuster? Yeah, Florida's Adventure Coast, which I'm going to have to certainly learn more about. I'm sure that's somewhere in our pre-production notes and whatnot. We can get more from the TD. But we'll talk to Paul McBeth regarding Supreme Flight, some of the things that are also taking place over there at the course that has seen yet another year of improvements and things that have been worked on. I know one of the considerations that was made, T-pads. Last year, even though the T-pads, I believe, were almost brand new, they didn't seem to...
Not a lot of people... I don't say a lot of people. There were some complaints.
Yeah, some players were vocal about not necessarily loving those particular T-pads.
And I think
that's something that was actually addressed. And
the X-Step ones, I believe they're getting now?
Yeah, I believe that's exactly what was installed. But those types of questions are the things that we can talk to Paul about and find out more what's going on over there. Also, some PDGA news. You're seeing some stuff pop up here on the PDGA website. What are some of those PDGA announcements?
About a week ago, the registration begins for the 2025 European Disc Golf Festival. This is, the PDGA Major for July 17th through 20th in Estonia. Right now, Phase 1, which is your 1025 and above, as well as what they're calling special invites. So I'm guessing that might be sponsor exemptions. If you give enough money, you get some... And or some regional considerations that are taking place just because they don't necessarily want it to be completely sold out by American-based players. It's just a guess. No, you're probably right, because as we know, it can be a little more difficult if you're in Estonia to get that player rating up, even if you're a pretty decent player. So by the time you get to Phase 2 or even Phase 3 where they qualify, it might be sold out, so they maybe let some of the special invites in there. But that registration is open, which is good, because that means I'll be adding it to Skip Ace very soon, because it is a major, as we know. And then the other news is, Terry, something you should maybe apply for.
That looks like a lot of work.
The Southeast and East Asia Regional Coordinator job opening. So this is the PDGA.
I wasn't made known of this.
Well, it just
got posted today.
It just got posted today. The PDGA seeks a highly organized, you're out, and motivated, you're out. I'm just kidding. You are motivated. I wouldn't call you highly organized, though. If you need to be, I think, but in general. Highly motivated professional for the newly created part-time position of the Southeast and East Asia Regional Coordinator. The individual will organize, promote, and support PDGA program activities across the region. So this would include Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, China, Chinese Taipei, Hong Kong, SAR, Japan, and South Korea. So a lot of the places you were just visiting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I am very blessed to have a little bit of information about many of those, I don't know, disc golf scenes, so to speak, including Thailand and Malaysia, Singapore. Seeing some new players pop up in the Philippines. Christian is one of the gentlemen. You've seen Scott Stokely talking about him. Performed very well when I was over there, winning a couple of the events. He's definitely going to be on that list of people to watch. And then just being in Cambodia recently as well. Yeah, and there's so many good players coming out of all of those regions. It's really exciting to see. And I think as more of the players not only develop and the scene grows and the player base grows, of course, just the idea of them having more exposure to coming to the big events. In fact, again, Scott Stokely just posted about that with Sean Poignet out of Singapore, and then also Christian, as I was just mentioning, out of the Philippines. Both of those bright stars. It'd be really cool to see them come over to the U.S. Or even play maybe in some of the European events as well. The big stage that is set over there. One of the guys that we talked about a few years ago, Jackie Chen, when I was over in Taiwan, just seeing not only his play, but then also seeing his influences and watching him develop as a player, and then how he took to the course, and then his mannerisms, also similar to what we saw from Paul McBeth. And we take for granted, I can't say it enough, we take for granted our access to these players, being able to see them, being able just to go to an event.
And anybody can see them now, as we know. Like he can watch them online.
Sure,
he could,
but he
could have just as easily, not that anyone, but looked like Ezra Aderhold or something with his form and things like that, just based on who he took to for YouTube. But no surprise that, taking to the world champ, 6-time Paul McBeth.
Yeah.
Who's in our green room.
Oh.
Yeah.
We were just talking about him. This is awkward.
I know.
I don't know. I guess for now, we'll bring him in. 6-time world champ, Paul McBeth. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm on here early. So
yes, we appreciate it. There was a little shifting. Steve Dodge. We didn't have all the ducks in a row, so it works out. We're glad to have you. You've been busy though. What's been going on in your world for the last couple of weeks?
Oh, last couple of weeks. Well, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just getting ready for the season. So a lot of just preparation for the season. A lot of guests coming in and out the last couple of weeks. Just a lot of videos and such, and then driving 3 hours to go help, get the course ready, make sure everything's looking good for the Supreme Flight Open this weekend. And then it's just been very busy once I got here, filming a lot of Discraft stuff, a lot of Pro Tour stuff, making sure the course is ready to go. And working with Nate Heinel a lot, because I know he gets a lot of flack for all these tournaments, but we 100% hired him on for this tournament for a reason.
Yeah, I'll say he just had a whole AMA, and he jumped on the Upshot to talk a lot about just how he gets a lot of these events and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What type of, I guess we'll get right into it. What type of changes are we going to see to the course? Did Nate have any input on what we want or what we're going to see? Obviously, we talked about right before you joined, the tee pads look like they got replaced, but has there been any other major shifts or even minor shifts?
A couple shifts. The tee pads, obviously, we went with the X-Step Pro. The course has gotten a year to break in. We're not fully open yet, but there's been players throughout the year, so it's broken in a little bit more. Let's see. Hole 4, which was really hard last year. A lot of people said it was probably the hardest par 4, has gotten cleaned up a lot. It's very, very playable now, scoreable. Birdies will be happening. But the biggest changes are 13. We flip-flopped the basket, so now it's a very challenging par 3 for MPO. Still a challenging par 4 for FPO, and then 16 with a new tee box. So it's the same landing area, but it's a new tee shot. It's up in the woods now on the left side. we really made that change so we can get spectators to flow to the rest of the course, because they were really cut off. There was no way to get past 16 because it went right across that entire walking path and road, basically. So change that. I think it's going to play well. It's going to be a fun little. It's going to be a tough 3-hole stretch to finish with a lot of pressure and a lot of OB compared to the rest of the course. Not a whole lot of OB, but the final 3 really tighten up, and I think it'll cause some drama, which is what we love to see. But as far as course changes, that's the biggest ones: 13 and 16.
I know you just said 13, 16. Hole 18. We saw an event it was a few months ago where the FPO field all got to the drop zone, turned to the side, tossed into the OB to get up onto the plateau. Has anything changed with that? Are we going to see a shift in either the rules or the drop zone? Like, has there been any change or thought process on that?
I'm assuming that wasn't one of our tournaments. I don't like those kind of rules. I read the T sign today when I played it, and I'm assuming it applies for MPO and FPO. If your drive goes OB off the tee, you have to go to the drop zone, and then that's the only drop zone.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't believe it was one of your events, but I forget what event it was, but there was a drop zone up at the top that then you could just, if you went OB, and literally all 4 of the women on the card that I watched, it tossed it just to the OB, so they didn't have to struggle up the hill. But okay, so that's good. That's good. That's a good change to know of.
I agree, and for MPO on that side as well. And also another change is 17. They're making everyone play to the left, the mandatory.
Oh, okay. That's the one where some players were going left, some people were going straight or right, so to speak, and then kind of splitting that area and then attacking the pin after that shot. And you're saying everyone has to go to the left.
Correct. Yeah, that wasn't my call.
Okay.
It's more for the cameras, so they don't have to film both sides.
Yeah, and guess as to where a disc is maybe or maybe not coming in out of nowhere. Okay, that makes sense. What were some of the notes that you had? Was it exactly that, the holes you just mentioned, or what were some of the notes you had from last year where you're like, hey, these are our top priorities on the course in terms of changes?
Yeah, number 1 is probably get people more throughout the course. Find a way to get them on the entire property. It was kind of cut off because one unique thing is we only have 3 access points to the course. You can go through 1, 2, and then now 16. So before it was just 2. Now you can get throughout the course. You walk where 16 used to be, and you can get all the way down to that bottom bowl section, which is 6 or 7 holes down there. Really a flatter area, unique flatter area on the course. But just a way to get access to the rest of the course for spectators, the crew that needs to get around the course, and all that stuff. But I just want to continue to challenge the course, find land that we can use, and just continue to make it grow. It does have spots where it can get bigger, more challenging, but stay fair. So we'll just do that over time. We're not going to just dump it all and do it at once, because that's a lot to break in and work on. We want to year after year look like we're improving and show that we're improving and putting in work.
Has there been any other amenities or major things that you've needed to add since last year on the property, and just in terms of infrastructure or anything else?
There's a lot we want to do. We're just kind of still in limbo. We don't have power on the property like we should. We're all lined up for all of it, but we just happened to get all that paperwork and all that stuff in right before the hurricanes hit. So we kind of went very low on the priority list, and we've had people looking at it as to why this has happened, and they haven't gotten a clear answer yet, but they're saying, we got hit with 2 hurricanes, so we got other things to worry about right now, kind of deal. So we're kind of getting the short end of the stick. So it's kind of slowing down and hurting a lot of things, unfortunately. So we haven't been able to do as much as we would like. So I wish the course had more amenities, had more, just little things added to it throughout the holes. But, we're still a great disc golf course, but it's not where we could be at this point.
Yeah, and is it fair to say some of the things you've been talking about range from parking lot. Obviously, power is a pretty big starter, but full-time
water.
power, parking lot, a more built-out pro shop, maybe even a viewing area. There's a lot of those plans that I presume, are still in the works then, right?
Yeah, we 100% want a clubhouse one day, not just a pro shop, but somewhere where people can come, hang out, get food, drinks, all the fun stuff. So long term, we want that, but we'll see. We'll see when it happens. We'll definitely make it happen, but we'll see when it happens. We just need the first two things to happen. We need power and water. That's where we need to start, and then we can do that. So I mean, we have what can be a pro shop on the course, and once we get power, we'll be able to go further. So
Now I
one
realize
step at
this.
a time.
I was just going to say, I realize this might be either a DGPT or even a Nate Heinold question, but in terms of spectators, and I know you just said you guys are trying to make these adjustments. Do you feel like the spectator experience? I don't want to say is a problem, but is it how much of a challenge is that in terms of just the overall experience? There's with parking, people coming in, what's all there, what's available. Like, can you describe any of those challenges for you?
I think that is more of a Nate Heinold question, or even Jeff Corns from last year, and DGPT obviously as well. But I think we do a really good job with our I guess what we call a vendor village. With food was limited last year. Hopefully we have more this year, but just keeping people busy, keeping people entertained. Last year it was really cool with the chess.com crew, being there and having that all set up. And then I think there's going to be a few little viewing areas throughout the course from what I saw roped off this year. I don't know what they plan to have there, but there look like some special roped off areas. But I think getting people close to the action as much as possible and then as many spots as possible is key. That's another thing we're going to work on in the future as the course grows is getting these areas that might not be, getting used, finding a way to create, a viewing area for spectators in the future, and keeping it as natural as possible as well, but getting people looks at some of the courses or some of the parts of the courses where, you wouldn't think otherwise.
What does your team look like? We're seeing Nate taking over this year specifically, as you just said, hired him as the tournament director, and he's got a team of people that are there for the event. What does the day-to-day operations and team look like down there these days?
So we hired on Kevin Kiefer, which, as you guys may have seen, he is not touring this year, with the finding out that they are going to be having a child this year. A little boy they just announced a couple days ago. So we hired him on, and when we hired him on, unfortunately, Nick Carl got offered the job he worked at back in Massachusetts, working with blasting and dynamite, which he really enjoys. They really want him back, so they pretty much offered him a lot more money than he was getting before, and a lot more than we're providing him, with what he's doing down here in Florida. So he couldn't turn that down. He's seen it as an opportunity to go back, stay with family, visit family, and create his wealth again. Because it's not easy to move, from the north to the south. So unfortunately, it's going to be Kevin in charge. Well, not unfortunately, it's going to be Kevin in charge. Fortunately, Kevin's going to be in charge, and unfortunately, Nick's going to be leaving. But Kevin's made a lot of connections. We got a new landscaping crew out there that's getting pretty busy, getting their hands dirty, and hopefully we can grow with them. And it's kind of shifting hands right now. But Nick's leaving in a good place for Kevin, so it's going to continue growing. And Kevin's young and ambitious, as you guys have probably seen. Should be fun.
And Kevin has roots. Isn't he from like the Tampa area? Or am I?
Yeah, he's from about an hour south, somewhere east of Tampa.
Yeah. Okay. So having a newborn, coming and on the way, or a little one on the way, very exciting, and what a cool opportunity. I think he was one of those players that certainly shocked the world when he said, "Hey, I'm no longer going to be on tour." And I personally already knew the bigger reason. But then watching it kind of all unfold, and their family growing and expanding is really exciting, and it sounds like a really good fit to be over there doing what he's doing. One of the very, I'll say, legitimate questions, I guess most of mine hopefully are, but one of the most legitimate questions I was seeking out tonight is, what's the vision with Supreme Flight? And can you even just break down what it is and what it should mean to the world right now, as you guys are one of the presenting sponsors this weekend?
Yeah, so Supreme Flight is it's I guess it's a retail company in a way, but I guess we specialize in clothing. We don't make the clothes. We just want to design products that we want to wear, on and off the course, but more so off the course. More of a lifestyle brand, something that doesn't have to be, like the jerseys that you see and things like that. We just want to kind of make what we like. Dylan, we signed 3 players this year. So we got 3 players, which is Austin Turner, Taylor Chosick, and Tyler Schultz. I don't know if we announced that yet.
SmashBox exclusive.
We did know.
Yes, we got it.
Yeah. We just want to be a lifestyle brand, on and off the course kind of stuff, and it's going to grow as we grow, but it also fits kind of what we're doing with Olympus, having a pro shop, having merchandise and things like that, something to brand as well. But we want to be able to collab with players, athletes, celebrities. Dylan, being who he is, he's got a lot of connections with people and a lot of friends, and we just want to be kind of that, avenue or route to kind of dip into disc golf as well. People that love disc golf but don't have a way to make a signature stamp disc or something that they can kind of have as their own. Everyone we all like to have stuff that has a go around on it. So we want to kind of be that bridge for that.
We have to kind of keep an eye on Dylan. There's a lot of trade rumors in the MLB involving him.
Give us an exclusive. What do you know about the trade rumors there, Paul?
I mean, only what you can Google.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more stories online than he knows, so you see all these players that get traded and they find out on Twitter or X. So
yeah, no, I've just heard a few things over the last couple of weeks about his name has been in the hopper.
Yes.
But we'll see.
That's a good thing.
No, it's good. Let him come to Milwaukee. Bring him to Milwaukee.
Well, I mean, it's always nice to be one guy getting traded for 5 versus
the other way around.
One of the 5 guys. Yeah, Milwaukee could use him.
Okay. Will Dylan be out there? Is he gonna be part of the weekend festivities and everything else?
No, he wishes, but maybe next year if he gets traded to an East Coast spring training team. So.
Exactly. Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But no, he's in San Diego or Arizona by now.
While we're on the celebrity /friend /name dropping, how about the Cuban Missile Crisis when Julian Marquez won't be around because he's fighting Saturday night, right?
Correct. Yep. Co-main event for the UFC this weekend. So he's been training hard. He's really, really, really wanting this one. So he's looking good. He's looking in shape, and I'm pumped for him. So he's got his biggest battle coming up here Friday, and then he's got the fight on Saturday.
Okay.
Weight cut's always the bigger battle.
Well, we wish him the best of luck as well. I saw him back at, I think it was at the Memorial. We had a quick chat and super excited. And when I was thinking like, oh, is there a chance to actually go see any of this? And then realizing the weekend that it was falling on this weekend, it's not going to happen. But I'm sure all the disc golfers will be pulling for him and then some. So as you kind of mentioned at the top of the show, Nate's coming in. I think Nate actually arrived today. He's had his team there for a while, doing a bunch of stuff to get ready for the weekend. What will it take to consider this weekend a success for you? If you look back, whether it's Monday night or Tuesday night, what for you would make this weekend a success?
For me, I don't know, on a personal level, a win.
Yep.
I want to win. I want to bounce back. I had an off season to train this year and get ready for the season, so that's what I want to do. But just having an event that starts the year off right, gets the momentum rolling for the season. A lot of eyes are on the tournament this weekend because people are ready for the tour to start. It's been a
Mhm.
long off season, longer than it's probably the longest one ever, which as a player I'm thankful for. But yeah, I just think having a smooth tournament, having an exciting tournament, and just having the season start. There's there, yeah,
Are you,
just not having something catastrophic happening.
Okay.
So
Weather is
that's
on your side this year. Last year there was a lot of
yes.
conversation. The course just took an absolute beating. You guys had
Mhm.
just wild rains come through, ripping up your course, and then that kind of put a literal and physical damper on the All-Star weekend and the All-Star experience. And then you guys were just in scramble mode, really, to do your best to then have
Yep.
the course presentable
Yep.
for the actual weekend. And this weekend, I think I saw 72 and sunny pretty much every day. So,
Yes, it looks very good. And then with the year, we've been able to kind of manipulate where we want the water to run and things like that a little bit better from what we had last year. And I think it drained very well. It rained literally all day from when like waking up at 7 to going to bed. It was just nonstop rain, and I went out there early to film a Jomez practice round today, and it wasn't bad at all. I mean, there was a couple tiny puddles, but overall, you wouldn't know it rained besides a couple of slick spots down the hillsides. So
and that'll only
it was
get
good.
better. You only get better over the next
Yep.
couple of days as things
yeah,
get warmed
it's
up.
just
Real quick, speaking of warm up, we're going to see this unique all-star variation, we'll call it, from last year.
Mhm.
The last couple of years, it's been a dedicated weekend before the event. This year, we're seeing doubles take place. Were you part of any of those conversations, or did they just call you one day and say, hey, what, Evelina's your partner, or whomever you have? Was it Evelina, right?
Yeah, Evelina is my partner. I don't know
Okay.
anything about the format really, how we're playing, things like that. I did talk to Jeff a little bit, because they were saying, hey, if things don't work out, we might have to come back there and do this and do that. So I kind of gave him, if we did it at Olympus again, kind of what the best 9-hole format would be
Okay.
to go and circle back or however it's going. So I just kind of said our course could work and be available, but having it the day before, right before, you should probably keep the players going to a minimum. So that way, if they want to practice still and give them time. So that was just my biggest advice was some players like to take the day before the event off.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're making people play is kind of unfortunate, but if you can keep it to a minimum, that might be okay with them. So uh,
so. Are you ready to play? I mean, we've had a long off season, the longest, as you said. Last year, you came into the
mhm.
season with some nagging injuries, your shoulder, and do you feel like you are at 100% or where you can be?
Uh, yeah, yeah. Yes, I feel 100%, and mentally, I feel more. What's the word can I use for it? I just feel more dedicated and ready to go for a season than I have in years. So I feel really good. I'm really excited for the season to start, and yeah, just feel very driven, and I just want to get out there. I think my game feeling great overall. There's still just a little footwork thing that I want to figure out, but today it felt good. And tomorrow I'll get out and practice more. Get to play more. I still got 2 more days to dial it in, but yeah, I honestly feel really good. I feel game's in a really good spot, and it's the best I felt coming into a season in years.
And what did your off season training look like? Just a putting in the backyard, a
Well,
couple rounds, like
it was
working out.
yeah. Thankfully, it was a long off season because I had some random like health issues pop up and things like that. So, um, first it was just hey, let's recover from the season. It was a long season. I didn't have an off season to prepare. My body was tired. Maybe a month off, and then the holidays come around, so it was playing here and there, getting in the gym, and then unfortunately, like maybe a month ago, right after the Disc East Expo, I got really sick for about 2 weeks, and I was like down for a week, and then was getting better, and then just out of nowhere hit with like 106-degree fever, and it was thankfully only about 36 hours. Not the fever itself, but just being down from that, and it took a couple days to recover from that. So my body went through it for those 2 weeks, and that was just under a month ago. So been able to get back at it, at least playing and getting that down. Not necessarily the gym. It really took a toll on my lungs. So, but playing wise, I feel great now. So thankfully, everything's good now. But I needed that 4 months to get ready for this year.
When you speak of feeling more motivated, more ready to go than any time recently in recent history, is that a response to the year you had, or is that a response to just feeling physically better? Where is that motivating force coming from, and why is it so strong this time?
Pablo's got to see him win.
100%. He's a big part of it. Yeah. I hate spoiling things, but I did say it in a video earlier. But just like, I don't want him to just have to watch YouTube videos of how good I was. I want him to see it firsthand. So I definitely want to get out there, show him what hard work and dedication will get you, and send a message. You know, so I that is a big inspiration to how I'm feeling now, how hard I'm working and putting the time in. But also like it's been a not so fun year and a half to 2 years of not being where I want to be physically, and just nagging injuries and getting these things right. So I'm just ready to put it all together, put those behind me, and just go forward.
Do you feel like you've, like, I don't want to say fallen off, but fallen off the public radar enough where you can be considered an underdog now?
I mean, rank six in the world's an underdog, sure.
I mean,
Like,
it's just because you're
I-
you're not spoken of like a lot of the other newer players that are coming out anymore.
well, yeah, I was definitely the highest ranked player to not win last year.
Okay.
I got a lot of second places, but I mean, if you take out my first half of the year where I was still, recovering from my stem cells, then it was a pretty solid year. I just didn't get any wins. So if you just look at that, I mean, I'm trending up towards a win in a good season. So, yeah, I mean, you could look at it that way. Like people can look at it that way. Doesn't bother me any.
Well-
I still have this mindset to go out there and beat every single player that's signing up for this tournament. So.
One of the players that's just a little older than your son is Gannon Burr, and he he clearly put together a solid year last year. There's no denying that. Obviously, you can have all those arguments about greatest season or recent history, blah blah blah. There's all these different metrics that everybody could argue with. All of that. Does his success or his results in any way motivate or agitate you in the sense of like, hey, I need to be overtaking this kid or even the rest of the field? But does anything of what he's done provide motivation?
Not necessarily, but if well, what statistics say is he should be better this year. So if I go out there and beat him this year, then I improve that much better. So I think kind of just let that talk, for the year. So I think Gannon's obviously great. AB's great, Rick's great. Players that they need to do it year after year after year after year. So yeah, I think he's going to be better statistically this year. He should be better, and even better than that.
From a fan
So that's my motivation.
I love it. And I was just going to say, from a fan perspective, yes, Gannon has proven himself with what he did last year to be a front runner. However, seeing what AB's capable of, pulling off 4 wins, including here last year, having a slower end of the season, but having an incredible start to his season, seeing Ricky Wysocki be insanely consistent throughout, not necessarily obviously not getting a major win, things of that nature, but also playing really good golf, off to a really good start so far this season as well. Is this the most exciting time that we've been able to provide for disc golf fans, like with all of this incredible competition?
No, I don't have that perspective. I don't get to view it that way. So I'm unsure. I mean, if it's just those three, and then you look back and you say it was just Ricky and I, then you'd think three is more fun to watch. But I'm unsure. I guess it's really how hard do you root for these people? You know, if you're a really big fan of one player and you really don't like someone else, I think it's more enjoyable to watch that person win versus if you kind of like all of them. So I don't know. I guess it really depends on how hardcore the fans are on whether it's really enjoyable or not. Because I know Ricky fans didn't like Paul fans and Paul fans didn't like Ricky fans. So I don't know.
Do you think that's is that gonna
change a little bit with
is that gonna
Ricky on Discraft
squash
now?
a little bit? Or do you think people will maybe become more emboldened? How do you think the Paul and the Ricky fans will interact now?
I have no clue. I mean, Ricky and I were on the same team when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I saw him for the first time today. He was filming his tour series stuff, but I'm unsure. I don't know. I mean,
was there a big hug? Did you invite him over for dinner?
Potluck.
We gave a little fist pump and talked about his disc, but he was kind of in the middle of filming it. So, and then who was I playing with? It was during the Jomez practice round, so he had Yuli and Germ to talk to as well. But sounds like he really likes his tour series disc, so I'll have to try it out.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the funnier questions we were able to ask him a few weeks ago is, will he actively avoid throwing any discs that have your name on them? And, you can liken this back to Ken Climo's days. Tons of people were throwing Casey Rocks, Casey AVRs. Obviously, his name was on a ton of discs. But then to see how you've helped shift the game and what you've done by going to Discraft, Ricky, all these years later, on the same team with you. We know it's an individual sport, but as much as you guys may get along, you're still competitive. You guys punchy at all yet?
Are we what?
Are you punchy, like figuratively? Obviously, you're not going out there and punching each other. Do you ever feel like there's any venom or any bark in the bite? Maybe that's a way to word it.
Any bark in the bite? Do we not like each other? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. I don't know about that. Just how are your interactions, generally?
Yeah, is the competition fire still there between the two of you?
I'm sure if we're battling, if we're not close, and I don't think we really care. But I definitely, if you're saying, does it feel better to beat Rick than anyone else? Of course. Like, do I like seeing Ricky behind me? Of course. But yeah, I mean, I don't care who the players are sponsored by. I want to beat them all,
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the question really comes into play is, if you're not winning, would you rather see a Discraft player win? So if it's Rick and Gannon, do I want to see Ricky win over Gannon? Yes, because it helps the company I'm playing for. So, but
hard to say.
So
it's such a different time. That's all. I mean, I think that's really what
I guess it's a business decision.
Yeah, no, that.
But no, I don't care who Ricky's sponsored by, or Gannon's sponsored by, or AB's sponsored by. At the end of the day, I want to go out there and beat them. But it'd be nice if the Discraft players finish second and third.
And now that with I'm going to plug it with Skip Ace, I've got a little bit more data. You right now are the 10th MPO player on average off the board. You were 6th on the tour last year, but Dickerson, Gossage, and the Robinsons, obviously AB, and there's some people that are sleeping on you, I think, out there. Just having all these statistics is fun now. Being able to see where the public looks at you and your your potential year, honestly.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
Yeah.
Some people got some steals.
The funny thing is that's what someone on the board just said. Like that's a steal at that point. I agree,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Is your number one goal still major wins, or is there a stepping stone even before you're concerned about your next major win?
No, I think my goal is to win. And I just think the longer the event goes, as the saying goes, the cream rises to the top. So I think that's why majors tend to favor me over many throughout my career.
Um, yeah, I guess that's a dumb question. I was gonna say, what one do you want? You want another world title. What would it mean to win this international world title that we're going to actually be presented with in your entire life? Obviously, you've never seen one played anywhere else out of the U.S. There's only been one in Canada back in what, '88?
Yeah.
Were you born? Weren't even born yet.
No, I
Anyway,
wasn't.
exactly. So you've never seen one ever international. What would it mean for you and just for your brand and your overall legacy?
I mean, I haven't really thought about it like that. It'd be really cool to win the first one. Like I guess you can say modern era world championship outside of the U.S., which is how it should. I mean, it should travel. It should, but we should be playing on the best courses, which they provide that. And I know, unfortunately, the World Championships has a lot of things behind the scenes that it takes. Whether it's money, sponsors, et cetera, to run and host. So that's why we haven't played in so many different places. Is because only so many people can put on a show like this. But it would be, I think, like you said, it'd be really good. A good little feather in the cap for my career to get the first international one, and then make it number 7. That'd be cool. I
Well,
like the number 7.
that leads right to a question that a couple people have asked on the board, which is, are we going to see more discs within the McBeth lineup? And if so, what's the timeline or game plan for that?
Yeah, there'll definitely be more. If you know Discraft, they got a lot of players, so they got a lot of responsibilities. So I'm with them for the long haul, so they can take their time a little bit more with me versus some of the other players that have shorter contract life. So we're working on things, but there is nothing in hand. There's just a bunch of ideas on a board right now for products as disc molds and such. So, but there is a lot of things in the works. But they have so many things on their plates right now with the tournament, tour series stuff coming out, and just getting ready for the year. And obviously they signed a new big player, Ken Climo. No, I'm just kidding, Ricky. So they have a
Both.
lot
I
to
mean, come
focus
on.
on. Yeah, they signed both. So they got a lot on their plate, but they're solid. They'll get back to me here soon. We'll get working on things.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that there won't be another McBeth disc with the way they sell. Like if I'm Discraft, I'm just waiting for that first little lull in sales, and it's like, hey, we got another McBeth disc coming.
Seems like that would make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Zooming out from that a little bit, you talked about Discraft and obviously signing Rick, signing Ezra, not losing any of their tour players that they've had last year. So lots of good things going on over there. What is it like for you knowing you're in this long-term contract? You've firmly planted yourself there, but then just watching all the other off-season moves and chatter, people leaving, switching to, going to all these other companies, people just flat out leaving a big company and then not necessarily landing somewhere or landing somewhere else. What have you made if you're kind of, giving an assessment of this offseason, player-wise?
yeah. It's very interesting. I think the narrative has been made by the media, that the sport is dying. This is going downhill. Like we're almost in a recession for disc golf, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of it has been made by the media. If you look at what UDIS just put out, like disc golf's not shrinking. Disc golf's growing. So I feel like as a company, if I owned a company and that was the narrative going around, I would try to save some money and use that as an excuse too. So I feel like it, it it could be getting played into more than what's really happening from some potential sponsors and such.
Hmm.
But I also know business can be tough too as well. People are still struggling from the COVID dip. In the sense of sales potentially, or they just expanded way more than they could afford. So I don't know. It's a touchy subject, but that's kind of
Okay. Was
I would try to save money that way if that was the narrative.
It's probably nice for you, again, year after year, not having to worry about any of that stuff, not having to think about
Well,
sponsorship. You know.
if my stuff dips down, they get on my case. So.
Well, not
Still have to
not
do it.
necessarily your.
I still
I'm
have to work.
talking the signings, and like where your
Yeah, you're not shopping
sponsorship.
around.
You're not. There's no need to be. Does anyone contact you? Is there any other companies that like maybe you walk by like, are you still happy over there, Paul? Like, has anybody even broached that subject with you in the last 2 years?
No,
Okay.
not other
I-
manufacturers.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Like
think
people
so.
maybe, but
Yeah.
more as like, hey, not working for so and so, but I just have some questions.
Okay.
what was the biggest surprise then of the off season in terms of anything that went down? It doesn't even have to be a player signing or a leaving or joining a team, but just in general, what would you say was the biggest off season surprise that you saw?
Hmm. I mean, it'd have to be like the biggest secret was Germ. Like I think that was the biggest surprise leaving Innova. Not necessarily signing with MVP, but probably leaving Innova.
Okay.
As far as things that I didn't hear about or know.
Okay.
Like I've heard about Ricky, and ever since that stuff happened with the House of Disc stuff, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. So that wasn't a surprise, but Germ leaving Innova was a big surprise.
And you were kind of in the know or somewhat of in the know with regard to the Kenny stuff, and
Yeah,
whatnot, right?
I talked with Kenny right after he had right before he had his first meeting with Bob. So I talked with him a little bit and just kind of filled him in with who Bob is and how Bob is, and that he's genuine. Bob is Bob.
Mhm. Yeah, and so it may not have been news to you. I think, again, me and Johnny being old,
Yes.
I think
for the
that's still one of the
sport-
most shocking things that took place.
Yes, for the biggest news story in the sport, Kenny. Yeah, but it wasn't
Yeah.
the biggest secret to me. But yes, that was the biggest.
Hmm. And then to follow that up, were you paying attention? Did you see that Kenny played this weekend, and then within the way they had the divisional breakdowns and whatnot, he won the division, which was the highest offering. Obviously playing in like a version of MPO essentially. That Kenny won this weekend. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't see any results. Does it have ratings or anything?
I don't know if it was a one round. I think he shot 11 or 12 under at Cliff Stevens.
Yeah, something like that. But I want to say it was like 10-28 now that I think about it.
Pretty solid.
Something like
With
that.
the little first bags. I mean, realistically, how many times have you played? 20, maybe switching.
Say that again.
I said, realistically, how many rounds do you think he's played since switching? Less than 20, probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's talked about
Can't
how
play
it can be.
back-to-back days.
Yeah, exactly. 10-29 is what I'm seeing as unofficial rating.
Wow.
An 11 under. He beat
Not
Peter
bad for-
Green by 1 and Charlie Goodpasture by 3.
Not bad
So-
for 50-something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you told most of the players this weekend they were gonna shoot a 10-29, most of the people this weekend would be like, I'm cool with that. 10-29 out in Olympus. It's not gonna win you the event, but
probably over a little over mid-pack of what players are rated now in the event.
yeah.
Yeah, so not
On the
too
higher
shabby for the champ
No.
to go out to the one round on his home course. I don't care how you look at it. I know it was bogey free, but just to go out and be able to shoot that with some new discs, Like you said, I don't think too many people should complain about that.
Never.
Have you been throwing? Is there any chance any of the discs will make your bag at any point? Is that at all a concern or a thought that you've had?
It's not a concern, but it's I think they're good discs. I don't have any in my bag right now, mainly because I don't have enough to really like. Hey, I want to mess with this. I have like one Skyway, one Bel Air, and two of the putters or something like that. So I don't have enough to mess around with yet. Maybe I will when I go up to Deglow or whatnot. But my initial thoughts, the Skyway would probably be the first one to go in my bag. Just for like that understable slot. It's more stable than a Hades, but less than a Zeus. So it could definitely fit into that beat-in distance driver role. But no, I do not have one right now.
All right.
Well, has your bag changed at all? Anything over the off season that you found that you liked more than what you had from last year, or is it going to be pretty much the same as last year?
Pretty similar. I got a couple buzz saws in my bag. I have a Sagara, and then I have a Malta in my bag, which it goes in and out. So it's not a surprise that there's a Malta in my bag, but it goes in and out, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, just the Sagara and buzz saw.
All right, Paul, is there anything else? Again, my big thing was learning more about Supreme Flight and then getting a little bit of a course preview stuff. But is there anything other in any other news or updates or information that our Smashbox viewers should know before we let you go here tonight?
I mean, I don't really have a whole lot. I've done a lot of media today, so I don't know what I've said and what I haven't said. But it's been fun so far this week. I feel great. I'm ready for this tournament to start, and I'm just thankful for everyone who's been a part of the crew. Whether it's DGPT, Ledgestone, Nate Heinel's crew, or with the Olympus crew getting this course ready, and all our volunteers. Shout out Danny. If you see any benches or stairs or anything like that, that guy's put those in. He's put in. I mean, probably the second most hours behind Nick. So just shout out to him and just thankful for all the crews and sponsors that are going to be a part of this event next week. And if you're watching and you're close enough to come out to the event, definitely come on out. We're going to have a free vendor village. You got to be quiet on that, but it's a free vendor village, but tickets are available to come out and watch the action. So we want to make our vendors happy. So come on out and watch on the board, unless you get tickets. But yeah, that's it. I appreciate you guys having me on. And if Terry, you're there, then you're not going to be down here, are you?
No, unfortunately for me, I guess I'm going out to Bend to be in the booth, which I do love, but I also wish I was on site. So no, I'll be there as host along with Nate and Val, but it'll be from the other side of the country, so I'll miss out.
All right.
But I'll be watching the action and looking forward to seeing how things unfold, and maybe you can notch that first victory that you've been hunting down for a while now. I know you're ready for it.
Yeah. Definitely ready. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. That's Paul McBeth.
Give your best to the family. Hopefully we can get Pablo. Get him a win. We're going to get Pablo a win.
All right. Thanks for joining. Have a good night. Good luck this weekend.
Good night, Paul.
Right. See you guys.
All right. Paul McBeth giving us some insight. Things got a little sideways. Lots of random questions for him, but we appreciate him always being.
It's hard
open
not to
book.
ask him. Just he has such a different, not maybe say different, but unique insight into the players, the sport, the course. So just getting his opinion on almost anything is always fun and insightful. So you're right. It's hard to keep a straight track with Paul when you can literally just ask him anything and you can just expect a good answer.
Yeah, well, we thank you very much also for being a little bit flexible. It sounds as if, and I don't want to disappoint the whole world now that Paul's gone, that we have to follow up with bad news that Steve Dodge is going to be next week for sure instead of being on tonight. So if you were really here for Steve and we gave you the old bait and switch and got Paul instead to join first, we do apologize. Steve will be joining us next week. We'll probably also be talking to either the FPO and or MPO winner, hopefully from this way. It might have to be Paul again.
Maybe.
It could be a repeat champion on the FPO side. Evelina Salonen is in town, and that's a quick side note to the fact that we are not seeing Kristen Lett here this weekend, as she is not coming here for the very earliest part of the season.
She'll see us in Waco.
So it sounds like she's going to be kicking things off in Waco in a couple of weeks. So it obviously will still be a really good battle nonetheless. But yeah, our number 1 rated FPO player in the world not going to be in attendance here this weekend. So, dare I ask, is there, I was going to say bold prediction. I don't even need to go there. I'll better yet, I'll say, what do you think of Paul's mentality in terms of recognizing? Can I call it a losing streak? Recognizing his lack of winning.
I was going to say, not a losing streak, it's just a non-winning streak.
Well,
I mean, a bunch of second places, sixth on tour last year. But
are you trying to pull a Ricky Bobby here or not? I mean,
if you ain't first, you're last.
Well, just saying, if it's not a winning streak,
yeah, I mean,
it could be a losing streak.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Anyway, what do you make of? I don't know. I mean, you've known Paul a long time as well. We both have, but listening to the way he even presents how he's feeling, how does that strike you?
It's good to hear that he feels more drive this season, because I will go on record and I have said it over the last year or two that it didn't feel like he had the same spark for most of the tour, except for the majors. Like, you always knew he was going to show up for the majors. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe not winning last year at all. Being a loser, as you told him, Terry. No, not winning last year really probably lit a little fire under him, because I think it used to be he always wanted to win. No one ever doubted that. It didn't matter the event. He was putting in 110%. At least through the first round or two. And then it kind of felt like once he had that, I'm not going to win, or it was highly unlikely he was going to win, there maybe wasn't the same spark. And he broke his, 12-year winning streak? Something like that, 12, 13, whatever that.
13 or 14
whatever that number was.
2011, I think.
He wants to win again. And I don't think it matters to him now what event he wins. Clearly, he wants to win the big ones. He wants to get another major under his belt. He wants to get that number 17. 17 or 19?
Get to 19.
19, yeah. He's at 18 right now. Okay. He wants to get to that 19. But winning, as he said, just winning now. I think he's going to take all the events maybe a little more seriously. And maybe now with family being settled in a little bit more. I think they moved again over the last year or so.
I think just down the road this time.
But still, it's still a move. I mean, it's still a move. I think having the family settled now in Florida, Hannah and Pablo probably, having an infant is difficult. Not that having a toddler isn't, but there's probably a little bit more leeway. And as that kid gets older, so will Paul, but there'll be more and more leeway. So you can hope that sounds like he's got a good mentality. It sounds like he's excited for the season. It sounds like he really wants to win. Is that dangerous for the rest of the field? We'll find out. If we're going into day 3 and he's within a couple strokes or even in the lead, I mean, there's still, I don't care who you are, there's the two scariest people chasing you are Paul and Ricky. Gannon's a force to be reckoned with, but I bet you ask almost any other player, if you want to be up by 3 strokes, who's the least likely person you want to be up by? And most of them will say Paul or Ricky, because they have that factor. They have that a known factor, and Gannon's getting it. He's close. He's proven he can make those big comebacks, but there's the aura of those two guys still.
Yeah, and without a doubt, as much as that's been true, I feel like that sentiment has fallen off, obviously, for Paul, and that it wasn't that exact feeling hasn't been there for a little bit of time.
Sure.
He hasn't been as scary to others as he used to be, but I still think it's there and it could return,
Oh, yeah.
as you're alluding to. So it'll be interesting to see. Gannon clearly has his goals, his eyes set on the prize. He's talked about it openly about, trying to have an even better year somehow than he did this year, which is a
if
huge
he can, if he puts up a better year than he did last year, that literally puts him maybe in the top 5 players of all time.
I mean, he's already doing so many things that are...
Yeah, he's probably a top 10 player right now, but if he gets another season like he had last year, it'd be hard not to put him up there with the names of Kenny, Paul, Ricky, Barry, Nate. It would be hard not to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And then there's Isaac Robinson hanging out, just thinking, I'm ready to collect a third world title.
Just looking at worlds.
And of course, notch some other wins and do some other good stuff. But it's so funny how just so quietly we're just kind of lurking, thinking about, a guy that's working also really hard with his new bag, is doing some great stuff. It should be awesome to see. And then his brother who's hungry. And we could go on and on. Everybody's got their story. And it's going to be pretty exciting to watch. Just things even shake out the very first weekend.
Yeah, as I mentioned to Paul, and I'll rattle off based on the users who have drafted players on SkipBase, the top MPO players. Number 1 off the board, I don't think, other than Kristen Lott, Gannon Burr has been the number 1 player off the board every time. I think there's one or two leagues where Kristen went first, but not many. Then Ricky, then Vinny in 3rd. AB in 4th. Isaac, Ezra, Antala, Gossage, Buckets, Dickerson, McBeth. That's the order. And when I looked at this, I didn't know until Paul came on, and I was kind of just browsing through it. I was like, it's a little shocking to see Gossage, Buckets, and Dickerson ahead of Paul. Like, just based on a couple things. I mean, granted, you could look at their full tour season, who's going to be... There's other things that go into this, like who's touring more, and Dickerson had a really good, quiet year last year. But
excuse me for the naivete here. Is this just for this weekend, or is this
is overall for the season? This is what people have drafted overall for the season for their team. So
interesting.
So these are the people that everybody thinks are going to be best overall for the season, and this is just MPO. I left FPO off.
No, it's
because Paul's like just around 16th off the board overall. Again, there's people who have drafts in MPO and FPO in their field. So you grab the Kristens, you grab Holland Hanley's, Evelina's ahead of them because you know that they're going to probably go, and it's a smaller division, so you want to get them earlier.
Just interesting to one of the names that doesn't jump off the page. It's not there yet, and I don't know how much more we got to scroll. Okay, he was literally the first person off the page. Simon Lizotte. I was surprised to not see him.
Just around the 20th person off the board.
Interesting.
ADP of 19.79. Yeah, it's interesting. I really like having this, and it's going to be fun to collect this data over the next 3, 4, 5 years and have this so people can see. Like Evan Smith is the kind of the first name where I would say not that he's not a household name, but he's on the border of it. Everyone else above him is a pretty much a known winner. So we'll see.
Okay. Super exciting. Well, real quick, is it just a click of the button to head over to FPO, I assume?
Just have to type in FPO, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's fancy.
Yeah.
No surprises here as you read the top 10?
Yeah, no, exactly. Kristen, number 2 is Owen Scoggins, Missy Gannon, Holland Hanley, Evelina, Silva, Ella, Kat, Henna, and Paige Pierce.
The only surprise to me there is, and I guess it's only one position, so it really isn't that relevant. I'm surprised to see Silva to see her below Evelina. But then again, I guess I think of her dominance overseas, but then we saw Evelina win a Worlds and then win the first one. So her wins were, I think, that much more in your face. Obviously a world title, but then also seeing her win the chess.com But then knowing the consistency you get out of Silva, none of those names otherwise, of course, none of them really surprise you. As to what we're seeing.
It is kind of exactly what you would expect. You could make some arguments between Missy and Holland, Evelina.
You're splitting some hairs.
Like you're splitting hairs.
Those points.
Missy has played really well towards the end of the season, usually. So, and her with a lot of her big wins. Holland Hanley has had now two wins on tour, but she has the potential. Like if she can just get her game together, she's arguably the number 2 player in my opinion. But we've seen her have her struggles. And Evelina, we know that the struggles come and go with putting. I haven't seen anything in the off season with her and Henna as far as putting practice, and I guess we'll find out in the next 5 days what that looks like, because it could, they could come out if Henna comes out with a new putt and is I will say just solid inside of 20 feet. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just solid inside of 20 feet. Deadly. Period.
Yeah.
Like people that are drafting her at whatever 8th or 9th or 10th are going to get a steal, but that entails that she has that putt dialed in, which there's no proof that she has.
Another name that I see on there is one Haley King, and that immediately made me think, and excuse me if I've missed some news, have we seen her officially announce any other sponsor?
No.
Okay.
No.
And
in fact, she's not even playing this weekend. She's playing the All-Star, or at least she signed up for the All-Star.
And then her first, and that's what made me then type this in. I see her listed for the All-Star Challenge, and then the next
Music
event
City,
you see her is Music City.
Yeah.
So we see her at Music City, KC Wide Open, and Des Moines. Those are the only events that she's currently listed as registered for, which really just maybe describes what her touring life may look like here in 2025.
Yeah, she's an enigma. Like someone with all the potential in the world, but maybe not all the drive in the world, and maybe a season off, so to speak, of just playing a few events will get her to where she needs to be, or we'll see, depending on how financial situations, I think, is she going to get a full-time job somewhere, or a part-time job even, somewhere to make ends meet, because the tour she has right now scheduled, that's not a tour that's going to pay your rent. So I'll be curious to see what Haley's future touring looks like in the next year, 2, and 3.
I was just thinking, what if she wins all 3 of those events? What kind of salary does that turn into for the year? But those are some big what ifs.
Yeah, those are big what ifs.
Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on Haley King, one of those, again, off-season announcements that were made, and she's one of the few people that I just feel like there hasn't been a definite resolution that's been made public. Maybe she absolutely is just waiting for the right time to make a big announcement, to tell us exactly which way things are structured or how she's going or what she's doing, but I just don't believe that I've seen it. So, interesting to see. All right. I don't know that there's a ton more that hasn't been already discussed leading into this weekend then. I feel like we've covered most of the things. There's obviously a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement about the tour kicking off. We're going to then have essentially 2 weeks or a week off, and then everybody's going to arrive in Waco, and then obviously things start to ramp up from there. And I'll wholeheartedly admit I have a little bit of a skewed schedule and perception of it all, because I'm going to be in Bend working this weekend in the booth, and then I'm not scheduled for like another 6 or 8 weeks to be in a booth or on
you got
site.
that Haley King schedule, huh?
Yeah.
I threw him, guys. I threw him right there.
Yeah. Excuse me. So, and maybe I'll need it to fully recover here, but just with the way the schedule works out, there's obviously a bunch of commentary teams, so on and so forth. I haven't been fired that I know of. There's just a number of events.
There's always time.
There's always time. We got Steve coming on next week. Anything's possible. But no, it's just my booth time is very back end loaded in the year. And so there's a number of events where I'm not part of the live crew, the 2 Live crew. I'm not part of that.
I can't even recite a lyric. It's just not appropriate. None of them.
It's really not. So it's. I'll admit, this year with not having Waco in my lineup, I know they have another crew scheduled for Waco. That's just what kind of kicks off my year in a very weird way. You haven't been to Southeast Asia, coming back, opening the tour with All-Star, usually a separate All-Star weekend, and then the the opening event, and then 2 weeks later having Waco. That's been my schedule for like the last 5 years. This year, that's not the case. So it just feels a little bit weird to me, but I don't matter. I'll see you guys when I see you.
You haven't been banned in the USA?
Not yet. There you go.
That's the only one I could do.
For you youngsters out there.
Good pull, though. I'll say that.
For you youngsters out there.
Look it up.
Two Live Crew was naughty.
They were naughty.
Anyway. Sorry, I'm reading off the board. All right. Well, unless there's something else that's crucial, I do want to, maybe I'll touch on it again in the after show, but I'll say it right now. Congrats to my friends over at Shaman Disc Golf out of Mexico. A bunch of great individuals that I had the pleasure of meeting when I went down there for the Kokioke Open back in August, September. They had a disc at the time, was one of the big things they were working on, and having a disc. Today or last night, they made the announcement that the Agave basket has been approved. So they have their very own basket that's now PDGA approved. It is made in Mexico. It was designed by these guys. Just very cool to see. It is the first PDGA approved basket that we're seeing from down there. So big shout out to those guys. There's a push on social media, and I'm just super happy for them. A bunch of really dedicated guys working hard to move things forward down there. So congrats to those guys. All the hard work continues to pay off for them. So I want to get the quick shout out in there, which is awesome. All right, well, we're going to close down the regular show. When we come back, we'll have the after show where we could chit-chat and see if anything else going on in the world. Also, we can read off the board and catch up on some other odds and ends. It may be disc golf related. It might not be. Sometimes we go off the rails. Anything is possible. So we got to thank Paul McBeth for joining us tonight, giving us some insight about this weekend. Disc Golf Pro Tour season is back, and we're ready to go in just a couple of days, kicking off with the All-Star doubles, and then leading into 3 days of the Supreme Flight Open. That's podcast 546 for Paul McBeth, Johnny VM, the Disc Golf Guy. We're going to take a quick break. We'll stand down for less than 2 minutes, then we'll come back with the after show. We'll see you then. You step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV Podcast 546's After Show.
Almost forgot how to do it, Terry.
I did for a second. I had to think where I was going, and then I thought, Back on the mic. Speaking of mics, Parker Welk.
Parker Welk's on a mic.
Again knocked it out of the park. And
microphone.
Everybody loved his commentary on the recently released, since last week, the recently released Shelley Sharp Memorial coverage. And so I will publicly, yet again, thank Parker Welk for stepping in. He did one of the tougher tasks first, in that he did the first 2 rounds solo, which to a lot of people out there, it may sound really easy. Well, I can just get on the mic and talk. I can just talk about golf that's in front of me for an hour. It's not as easy as some would think. I'm not even claiming I'm good at it, but it ain't easy. And so Parker very graciously said, yes, I will do it. That's when I was actually still in Cambodia. I reached out to him and said, hey, I want to try and get these edited as quickly as possible. If I can get you a rough cut, would you be willing to just go ahead and knock it out, because I'm going to be traveling and all this other craziness? And he said, yeah. He took it on, did the first 2 rounds. And then I said, hey, you're welcome just to knock out the 3rd round. I'm back, but you're welcome to knock it out. And he's like, hey, I think you should be on it with me and we should do it together. I said, I don't know. Seems like you're doing just great. And he graciously said he wanted me involved. And I've said it 100 times, probably more than 100. I don't do commentary because I need to hear myself talk more. I usually do it out of necessity. And so with him killing it and him doing perfectly fine and then some, I was more than content. But it was also pretty cool, I'll admit, to be on the call along with Parker while watching a new chapter in Ricky Wysocki's career and Ricky's life as he went on to pick up the win. Great battle with Anthony Barella.
AB just can't get that event.
Yeah, it's, and
or any Vista event.
AB played great golf.
Yeah,
it was
not great enough.
Really, really good golf, and it just wasn't quite enough because Rick was, almost unconscious in that final round. And I mean, spoiler alert, he birdied the first 8 holes. Like, I don't know how you beat someone or where your confidence level is when the guy that you're playing with just opens, the co-leader opens with 8 straight birdies, and then you don't birdie 9, which is a massive bonus birdie in the first place. You get 10, you get 11, you get 12. No, he didn't get 12. Yeah, 12. So he's 11 under through 12 holes, only missing a bonus birdie.
Spoiler, bro.
It's crazy. So big shout out to Parker. Clearly beloved on the mic, and it was awesome to have him step in and help get the releases going early because he was doing it solo. So big thanks to him. Ed says, Terry, any news when the Vista course will come back or if it will come back? They're basically re-landscaping and reshaping, physically moving earth and reshaping that, so much of that park. I've heard some bodies of water there might get a little thinner or smaller, and some might get a little bit larger. The way they're just kind of shaping things. They still need to have a major path or walkway go essentially through the middle of it because it's such, as we all know, a heavily trafficked thoroughfare, wayfare.
Yeah, bikes, walkers, skateboarders, roller skaters, people, carts, like just you name it. If it has wheels, or it'll go through that park.
Feeder wheels, it's rolling right through there.
Yeah.
And so they're still going to have that, but how it all gets shaped otherwise on the sides of it is really going to be the question. So it's going to go in phases, and then at the end of the day, it's still like a city/government project, and that's not just like a low blow, cheap shot on government, but the likelihood of it going swiftly, I think, is just fair to say that. Then again, whatever goes swiftly and smoothly for us, government or otherwise. So we're going to see it. We're going to see a whole new design at some point. Whether or not the other side, where the 6 holes are on the north side, whether or not that even gets touched, actually, I don't know.
I heard when I was there, they were doing half and half. They were first going to take care of one half of the park.
Exactly.
And then they were going to move to the other half of the park and take that down. So it might be a few years before we see a full Vista.
Exactly.
XL, so to speak. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a long process, and maybe it'll force the hand of seeing some other courses that are not going to play nearly as long or challenging. I don't know what events may or may not get shifted. Just recently, I had a very brief conversation with the tournament director, with Jamie Spencer, regarding the PLO, the Phoenix Ladies Open, that's been covered and held there for almost two decades now, 18, 19 years, and just the possibilities of what property will get used, if there's a version of Vista that's still playable come November or not. I mean, I think those are all very fair questions. So that answers you, but doesn't, Ed. And I realize that, but we're going to see something. I just don't know exactly what and when, but there will be disc golf there again. All right, let's continue. Lots of events at Fountain Hills. Yeah, that's possible. Fountain Hills, of course, has its challenges. When they have community things going on out there, whether it's I think they do some car shows. I know they have more than one big art show a year out there. There's just some considerations that, it's like any course. If there's a lot of things, if it's already a busy park, it makes that much more of a challenge. One thing that we missed out on this year specifically in Arizona, my channel has very much covered the Maricopa event for the better part of the last decade. And there's a lot of struggles in Maricopa in terms of working with the homeowners association, because technically that Maricopa course with the beautiful fountain and waterfall and landscaping out there, that homeowners association, I think, is really difficult to deal with in terms of having organized events. And then I've seen Sam Russ try to go to another property or two, and there's just a lot of obstacles that sometimes are difficult or impossible to overcome. So it's all part of tournament directing. That's not so fun. Zach asked, have you been to Eagles Crossing? And I embarrassingly admit I have not. I have been invited to go there. I would love to do some media stuff there and just personally play it and check out the property. I have yet to get there. It's just really a matter of like working it into the schedule where it makes sense for me to take an extra day to do it while I'm possibly going somewhere else or looping it in. But I have not yet been there, and I hope to get there. And then some questions about Eagles Crossing being worth the trip. There continues to be a conversation in that, whatever the price is that they're charging. I've seen a number of different conflicting answers to that. Whatever the amenities are, getting a cart or not, being there for a day or two. Also, the fact that I know last time I had a conversation with them is when they were still talking about developing the second course, which I think is under construction, or maybe it's even there.
Yeah, well, sure. Zach just says Eagles Cross was incredible. If you go, definitely play both courses.
Okay, so there
the
you go.
Wild Times course is equally incredible.
So, big words from someone's opinion who I trust, in Zach, with the greatest in the bag video that's ever been produced. So make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, that's high praise and accolades, and really not surprising when you're talking about the money and the energy and effort that's been put into the first course that went in to hear that the second course is in and is also incredible. Not surprised by that. So yes, I want to get there. It's just a matter of finding a way to make it work. Was there any course that was on coverage in the past? Wasn't there any course that was on coverage in the past, not Memorial?
He was thinking probably Maricopa. Is what he said, and we have seen in the past. What was the one at the golf course? The
Freedom Lake,
Freedom Lakes, yeah.
Fiesta Lakes,
Fiesta Lakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they just call it Freedom Lakes now. Sorry.
Yeah.
We renamed
it's undergone. Yeah, it's undergone ownership and rental agreements and lease agreements. Disc golf wasn't really a part. Disc golf was a part. That seems like an ever-evolving scenario over at that piece of property is the best way that I think I can explain it right now from what I've heard. Eagles Crossing is wild in the middle of nowhere, kind of pricey, but it's worth it. Zach, maybe you can clarify, is it like $45 or $50 to play? That's one of the conversations I saw the other day. And does that include a cart? Does that give you all access all day? What does that include? Is what I would love to hear. All right. I'm going to scroll up and read a few more things that people chimed in with. If you've got something to ask us, please let us know.
Well, did you see that Brody was featured on the Dude Perfect? They had a big trick shot challenge, and it looked like there was like 20 or 30 people there.
Okay.
And he was brought in for being, former trick shot artist that he was. And there was a big competition. I think you can find it on Dude Perfect's YouTube channel, I'd assume. I have not watched it myself, but yeah, that's kind of obviously with him now being more into disc golf than he is into ultimate. Just a little more exposure.
Yeah, I saw some of his posts saying that that he was involved with it, and I think I saw a half court shot or something like that, and some other stuff that he was doing. So I have not personally clicked on it. I was never really into any of the Dude Perfect stuff, so to speak.
No, me either.
Obviously,
I always felt a little old for it.
Massive following and some really cool stuff, the clips and such that I've seen, but I never, for instance, subscribed and actively watched any of it. But that's pretty cool. Somebody reached out to me recently. It might be a fellow Smashy, but someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm not sure what's going on over at Tour Life. It just doesn't seem like things are happening, and or I don't think the podcast is happening anymore, or there's something happening." Well, I reached out to Yuli myself, and I said, "Hey, a concerned fan of yours wants to know what's going on." He's like, "Nope, schedule's just been a little bit crazy. Brody's had some stuff going on. I've had some stuff going on. Everything's good." And I said, "You're like," he goes, "Yes, show is happening." I said, "You're having a show tonight, right?" He said, "Yes, they're having a show tonight," all that stuff. So if anyone's worried or concerned, it doesn't sound like you need to be anymore. So if that rumor had circulated, Yuli himself told me today everything's all good.
Yeah.
Anyways, it just was funny. And I even told him, I'm like, "Hey, one of your fans is reaching out to me wondering what's going on with your podcast." I'm like, I don't know, but let me get to the bottom of it. So it sounds like everything is all good to go. So good to hear. Let's see. Someone asked earlier and said we should invite Haley on. Yeah, that's a great point. I'd have maybe rather than us pondering or wondering or constantly being uncertain, I'd have no problem reaching out to Haley, see if she wanted to join us and tell us what was going on, or if anything, or if, as some would say, some of the media's more concerned than we even need to be in any capacity. So,
and I believe the not this week, but next week, the Disc South Expo is going on. Not this weekend.
No, it's this weekend.
Oh, it is this week. I thought it was the weekend between.
Yeah, unfortunately,
right.
it conflicts. I'll say directly conflicts with the event that's being played this weekend. Yeah. But certainly, if you're anywhere within a couple hours there, it sounds like it's going to be a great time. It's going to have a little bit different feeling and vibe, of course, because so many of our superstars that were at the Disc East Expo, a lot of them are going to be playing and be involved in Florida. But yes, Disc South is going on this weekend. Real quick, Zach says it's something like $45 a round, I think, and that doesn't include a cart. Cart is, I think, $60 a round split between two people. So, okay, so there's your updates. It's not a paid plug for Eagles Crossing. Again, at some point, I want to get over there as well, and I'm sure I'll be able to check it out and have my own assessment. The little I've seen of coverage, and I do mean little when it was live that time, we saw like two holes. It doesn't, the open course at least, I'll say this much, doesn't seem like one I'd enjoy because I don't throw far at all. So if I were going out there, going to the longest tees doesn't sound overly appealing just from a weaker, older man perspective. Not to take anything away from the course. It's, one of the higher rated courses and this incredible destination.
You would probably
just from a personal perspective.
Yeah, but if you were transported there tomorrow on a good day with your discs, you'd probably play the long pads.
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying I don't think I would enjoy it as much as a good player, 1,000 rated player that throws 450. They're just going to enjoy the experience that much more. That would be my guess. Now, no matter how long, maybe the wooded course is, I'll probably enjoy that more. No, maybe not. If you've got 450-foot tunnel shots, I'm still probably not going to love that. Not to say it's not a great course. I'm saying me personally, I'm more like a 300-foot tunnel shot kind of guy. That's something that would excite me a little bit more. So,
one of the things that we didn't talk about, or I didn't talk about last week, and I think it was announced right after, or maybe it was even the day of, the UDisc growth report was released last week. And as Paul kind of hinted at, they're showing growth as far as rounds played, people on the course, like that's still going up. So I think we're seeing a slight, I'll say a dichotomy maybe between what manufacturers are seeing and what casuals are doing. I think people are buying less discs, but the sport isn't necessarily, as Paul said, dying, or maybe it's slowing down a little bit, but we still got a lot of people going out and playing a lot of disc golf. So if you can go to UDisc and check out the growth report, they've got a lot of good information. They're right now also counting down their top, I think 100. Their top 100 courses, and they are like Olympus was number 80. So we're gonna see. I mean, I'll tell you what, they should just announce number 1 as Maple Hill right now, and then just go. Everyone can guess what number 2 is, because I think Maple Hill just gets number 1 almost every year. So that, or maybe the Beast,
or Krokel. Krokel is the number 1 in the world, right?
I don't know about that.
It is. Maple Hill is number 1 in the U.S. now.
Okay.
Well, last year.
Last year. All right, well, I guess we'll find out.
I guess.
So, yeah.
I'm reading somebody asking about my distance. Yeah, I'm not pushing 425, 450. That 375 to 400 is me on a good throw these days.
Yeah, same here.
So no, I would not claim to be pushing 425. That's where I wish. I think golf would be so much more fun if I could just throw 450 all the time.
No.
Yeah, it would be way more fun.
Because for you, birdies equal fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
It's about playing the course, Terry.
Oh, that's right.
If you could throw 450, then we'd put you on a longer course, and you'd be like, if only I could throw 500.
No.
Gosh.
I think 450 is a very favorable sweet spot that would make just disc golf in general so much more fun. Or, I don't want to say or. Having a forehand would also be nice, but would you rather have would you rather have a 100% reliable 275-foot forehand, because you, like me, have zero forehand?
My forehand on a scale of 1 to 100 is at least a 3.
Okay.
Don't give me a 0.
Would you rather have a 275-foot reliable knockout forehand to add to your backhand, or would you rather have 450 in the tank backhand pretty much whenever you need it?
The 275 forehand, easy. Just with the way I play and the courses that I play, a 450-foot backhand probably picks me up 6 strokes a year. Like, it just, the courses we play don't require 450. I need to be an accurate 340-foot player on these courses. But there are so many times I walk up to a hole or even get stuck someplace and I go, God, I wish I had a forehand here. Or my forehand's going to cost me I'm stuck throwing a forehand, so I might as well just tack on another stroke for that one. You know, I should just throw over my head in this case because my forehand is so bad. I'll take the 275 forehand all day, every day. There's so many holes that I can think of. I just signed up for a tournament today. I'm on the wait list for Standing Rock's Open. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to chance. I was
late April, early May.
First weekend of May.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to play because my wife has a fundraiser usually that first weekend. In the last couple of years, I've gone the last 2 years, and it hasn't necessarily made the happiest of households. But now her fundraiser got pushed back 2 weeks. I found that out last week. So by the time I signed up, the event my division is full, but there are open spots in other divisions that probably won't fill. So things can get shifted around, so we'll see if I get in. If I do, great. If I don't, that's
if you
fine.
don't, the best part is you could probably get an exemption into the Champions Cup.
Ooh, yeah. That's I'd
have options.
I'd have to get out to the West Coast. I mean, yeah, that's a toss up. I don't know.
It really is for you, right?
It's a tough one.
That's a real.
It's a real.
I'm just saying, we could find you a sponsor or some form of special exemption.
Do you think if I sponsored, if I sponsored Sean Jack's Fantasy League, the San Francisco one that they play every year, then that counts?
That might do enough. I was going to say this. Here's the bold move I'll make. If you play Champions Cup, I'll caddy for you.
Ooh, all right. If I play Champions Cup, what are the odds I take last place?
199%.
Thank you. Okay. Give me 99.
Not 100.
Give me 99%. If nobody drops out.
No, we can't count DNFs or DFL.
Yeah,
or DNFs.
If nobody DNFs and everybody completes, probably like 90. I'd say 98% chance I take.
But I'd caddy for you, and we'd be able to put it.
Oh my god, we'd have so much fun. We would be the worst people.
But you get to play though. Hopefully there's not a cut. Hopefully, because I'm not going out there just for 3 rounds.
Oh God, yes, you would. You'd have to. I would so force you. Do you think if round 3, how long do you think they'd let me sit in that VIP booth? Just like, no, guys, I know. I'll catch up to my group on hole 4.
Some other news that I think just came this last week, and I don't have every detail, but the highlight was Ace Run Productions making an announcement that they are doing chase card coverage at all of I believe every one of the Go Throw events, if not everyone, close to every one of the Go Throw events. Talked to Felix. He had a couple teasers out there before the announcement was made. He let me in on the little secret, and super excited for them. Of course, expanding coverage, and the Go Throw tour continues to gain exposure, momentum, all of those great things. There is a chance that I may get involved with 1 or 2 of the events, depending on how the schedule works out. But right now, it sounds like they certainly have things on lockdown, in the fact that they've got Go Throw with your lead card coverage. And
I'm really excited
Ace Run
about that, honestly, just to see how it plays out this year.
Yeah, I
like the how many pros they get, the payouts they have, all that stuff. I'm just kind of excited about that.
Well, already you have obviously the play and the coverage from the main event, but then they're going to have a skins match, I believe, filmed at every event.
Yeah, that.
And now there's going to be an Ace Run challenge of sorts that Ace Run's doing, or in another exhibition format of something that those guys are working on. So clearly they're creating, the tour is creating this
little mini festival kind of thing. Like an extra.
this there's more than just.
If Kevin Jones is DJing at these events, count me out.
That I can't promise. That I don't know. But it would make sense.
Count me out. Get KJ USA on the wheels of steel, and we'll talk.
Okay. Ken says, speaking of not dropping out, did you talk about Johnny getting hit with a disc, getting his nose broken, and still finished and won the tournament he was playing?
Johnny McRae last week on like the 3rd to last hole took one to the face.
Ouch.
Broke his nose.
Dang.
He was up by like 12 strokes, finished the round, and then went to the hospital. Yeah. I say that guy's had more on-course medical issues than anybody I know, and
leaves a champion.
And leaves a champion. If he'd have been resuscitated a couple of years ago on the course, he'd have got up and finished in 1. I count it.
Dang.
As always, we're happy Johnny's still with us, and we're happy that
he's okay.
That he's okay. But man, that guy. At some point, the disc golf gods are telling you something. Stay out of Florida. That's what they're telling you, Johnny. Go play anywhere else but Florida.
Was he playing in Florida when that happened, though?
I'm fairly certain. He lives there and it's off season, so I'm fairly certain he's been playing it was Florida.
He could be anywhere, though.
Yeah, I don't want him to quit the sport, but just maybe don't think about not playing in Florida. Or a helmet. Wear a helmet.
Yeah, which some of our camera operators have been doing.
Yeah.
Or some version of protective headgear ever since we saw the Eagle McMahon. Was that Eagle or Ricky?
It was Eagle who chromed him.
Yeah.
Domed him, I mean.
Yeah, so
went up and over with the thumber, or the not the thumber, but the
sky
grenade.
No, the grenade.
Grenade shot and exploded on him like Nick Carl.
All right, a couple quick announcements. Obviously, the Shelly Sharp footage was released. We'd already talked about that. I have 2 rounds of Chiang Mai footage that is now just awaiting commentary. We may have the first ever Thai commentary coming on that. I'm going to have 3 rounds of this round, as I mentioned, from Cambodia. So at least 6 more rounds of Southeast Asia golf are all in the queue. Just picking the right times when those are going to get slowly released. Obviously, I'm going to continue to watch what gets released from the rest of our Pro Tour and everything else and then fit it in accordingly. But there is all of that action that will be soon releasing on my channel. And speaking of which, big shout out. Some of you probably, there's a little bit of crossover. After all these years, I got on board and I created a member section for the channel. And what I feel like is going to be the most useful component of that is when I load in a video and I set it to release, usually like in the morning or the next morning or whatever the case is, I can instead set it to release early to any of the channel members that have signed up and joined my channel and are supporting me in that capacity. So you can watch it as soon as I click that button and make it available. And the real behind the scenes on all of that is the fact that due to when most people are watching and YouTube and everything else, all of us content creators have like
a scheduled
time, whether that's 8, 9, 10 in the morning, whatever the case might be, to release a video for next day coverage. Sometimes that coverage might actually be uploaded to YouTube at 2 in the morning and it's ready to go. And I literally just have to say, hey, release it at 10 a.m. because that's when it's going to get the most views. And then that helps the algorithm for more people to continue to watch it.
But what would be better, like to me, like first round, cool. If I happen to be up at 1 a.m. before you release it at 9.
Or if you're in Finland, but go on.
Whoopity-doo. If you were to drop the first like 3 rounds, schedule them for the next 3 days, and then I get access to all 3 rounds before, like, you know, round 1 drops on Friday, and then round 2
on that doesn't really work, though, in the next day.
Not when you're doing next
big
day
end
stuff.
Event.
Or, again, I think you should also do the commentary free rounds behind that as well. Just, hey, here's the commentary free rounds.
Can I make them? Can I make those members only?
I would assume so. If you can make...
Like in...
like a protected, I would guess you can do that.
I wonder. I'll have to look into that.
I would be shocked if you can't do that. But man,
I'm so sorry. What I was going to say, yes, if you really like me and want to support the channel and you want access to the commentary free version, I can make that happen.
Yes.
Some of that feels like maybe it's backwards.
But still. No,
anyway.
What I'm saying is, like, I know it's not, but there are times, like, we'll say, like, the Shelly Sharp where you maybe get all 3 rounds done maybe a little ahead of time, and you can just release them, or you're waiting on commentary from a pro, like, all right, well, we're going to get this done, but I've got the edit done, and maybe put that up there and say, hey, guess what?
Certainly.
Those are the type of incentives I think would push that further.
Yeah, so the people that signed up, I just want to say thank you. Again, there might be some crossover from our channel here. I really appreciate it. I'm making a bigger deal out of it than it probably is, but I do appreciate it that some people want to get on and support that way. So, Artie asked, did you give any impromptu rides home to any ties this year? I don't think so. I know last year Sven needed a ride, and that was adventurous, but I don't think I gave any other ones that were impromptu this year. Tim says, Austin Turner kept trying to kill me while throwing lefty hyzers on 16 at Idlewild. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit scary out there, so protect yourself. All right.
As I say, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV as Terry dies here. Help support his funeral. So if Terry happens to just, keel over here, we're going to need to help support him. And you can do that.
When I lay inside the smash box.
That's right.
One final time.
Oh, God, yes. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. You can help support the channel for as little as $1 a month. You get access to ad-free versions of our podcast. You get access to early versions of the podcast. You get access to the full version of the podcast in your own separate feed. All that fun stuff. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. And Terry Miller, I think we have 3 giveaways we need to do tonight.
Probably at least.
We're just going to do 3 because that's all I can think of. So we're going to do 3 giveaways. There's 110 people eligible for our giveaways right now. We are going to go to random.org and we're going to pick 3 different numbers. What do we want to pick here?
All right. Well, we got 3 giveaways, so third number you pick will be our first one.
Well, now you're getting confusing on me. All right, the third number is the first one. All right, so our first number is 86. Our second number is 109. And our third number, which is the first one, is 98. 98. They're sorted by first name, just so everybody knows. 98. I'm going to scroll down.
We got giveaways to make happen.
Tim Glass.
Tim Glass.
So congratulations, Tim Glass.
Congrats.
We've got you for our first giveaway. And these are we're going to have Terry pull out some discs here.
I think I've got some Chiang Mai related
nice.
Little items that will get packed along. Aaron Herman over at the Chiang Mai Open graciously sent a few things home with me from Chiang Mai Disc Golf. So I'll throw those in along with probably a disc or something that I'll grab, and then throw a couple little extra items in there coming to you guys from Chiang Mai Disc Golf. And now the second one should be the second number.
Okay, so we'll draw 2 more numbers.
2 more numbers.
39 and then 12.
12, so way early.
12.
It's a B word.
That's what you'd assume. 12 is a B word. Brian Millman. Congratulations, Brian Millman.
Thank you, Brian. And I don't think I've shipped to Brian Millman in a while.
Yeah.
If ever. So congrats.
Thank you very much, Brian. Much appreciated. We're gonna get you all set up with a disc here.
Thank you for supporting us, Brian. We appreciate it.
And then we'll do one final giveaway tonight, Terry.
And then just click one more number. So
one
went
more
3
number?
numbers, then 2 numbers, and now 1 number.
You're so clever.
What can I say?
Gosh.
It's all that Cambodian water. Ice cubes.
Oof. Very next number is 6, so we're going even lower. How low can you go? Get low, get low, get low. Number 6 is Andrew Clayson. Andrew Clayson. Congratulations.
Who's been around a long time.
Very long time.
And Andrew helped with some stuff many, many, many years ago with regard to my channel over at the Disc Golf Guy channel. Helped with some early graphics and doing some scoring for me and set something up way back when. Really appreciate it, Andrew, and thank you for your support.
I'll send all this information over to Terry Miller. He'll take care of that first thing tomorrow morning at about 7 a.m.
Yes.
No, he won't.
Or when I get back from Florida.
Yeah, you're not going to Florida.
Or
from Bend.
Well, then it's gonna be a long time.
Yeah.
When I get back from Bend after covering the event in Florida.
Are you flying out to Bend tomorrow? Then?
I am.
Yeah, I assumed as much because you're covering the All-Star as well.
Yes, I will be part
and that'll
of
be on Thursday.
The doubles on Thursday. And then the show on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Another early morning to catch the flight on Monday and back.
Who's commentating doubles with you?
I would assume Nate and Val.
Both of them?
I don't know.
Because it's mixed doubles.
Yeah, so I don't know anything. I'll just show up. and see who's sitting next to me. I honestly don't know, actually. And I'll be the first to admit there was a little confusion on my end, and I missed part of our pre-production meeting last night.
Fire this man. Fire this man.
So, yeah, with regard to how Thursday's going to unfold, there might be an email somewhere that spells it all out. I just assume I'll be there, and
You'll get
one
there.
or both will be sitting next to me. That's actually a good question.
That's why I know. I asked it.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you never ask anything
I don't
dumb.
ask bad questions.
Maybe Nate and Valor are just doing it. I'm there to babysit. I don't know.
That'd be
That'd
awesome.
be great.
It's like, I'm just going to take care of your kid.
Yeah, I'll go watch Luca. So, yeah, either way, you'll probably hear me on a mic come
I'm
Thursday.
sure I will.
Big shout out. Just yesterday, celebrating a birthday is one of the most OG of all OG Smashies in one Gary to the O.
Yeah, the OGs, the GO.
The GO, the G to the O, as we call them.
Happy birthday, Gary.
Yeah, happy birthday to Gary, celebrating yesterday. And Gary works for the Disc Golf Network right now, the Pro Tour. He was one of the very original cameramen and operators and button pusher here in the studio. He's done so many different tasks here at SmashBoxx and now with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So big happy birthday and shout out to him. He doesn't watch or listen to this. He's sick of us, understandably. But
years of, getting sick of us.
Yes. So big happy birthday to him. Also, Dana Vici, another OG Smashy, the day before yesterday. Yeah. It was his birthday.
2 days ago, yeah.
So happy birthday, of course, to Dynamite. And the day before that, I'm just kidding. Good birthday times. You're going to have one pretty soon.
I am.
Yeah, you are.
A little over 3 weeks. A little over 3 weeks.
You're getting older too.
Yeah,
all right.
I am.
Well, with that, we have to thank Paul McBeth for joining us in the regular show. We thank all of our Smashies. We even got an exclusive here tonight out of Paul.
Sponsorship information.
All right, we'll take it.
Congratulations, Silas.
I don't know if you knew Silas, but
you didn't know. That'd be great. Broke it to Silas.
It's like the trades. We're making things happen. But seriously, thank you to everyone. Next week we'll likely, like I said, have an MPO and or FPO winner, one or both, probably joining in the show, and we'll also hear from Steve Dodge and what he's got going on. Something's always up Steve Dodge's sleeve. Was that a hint? For Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. Well, that's 5:46 is after show. We'll see you next week. You step inside the SmashBoxx.
Bye.